Okay, today's daf is Yoma Ayin Dalid, Yoma 74. We're on the top of Ayin Dalid and Aleph. The Gemara says, the second line, V'chi Tema, Kevan de Isle Heder Min HaTorah, K'chayal Karon Shua. We're getting off the point of saying that according to Reish Lakish, it would be a problem that holds that Chatzi Shir is Mutter Min HaTorah. You have a problem why the carbon shvua is chal on something which is asur midrabanan, and it would be lo sasur, so it would be daraisa. It's already been mushba omim har Sinai, so why should the shvua be chal? So the Gemara says maybe it's only darabanan, and lo sasur is general lav that wouldn't make something daraisa gabi hilchos shvuos. It's only darabanan, and therefore the shvua would be chal. That's not true. But not shvua seidas ino hegas ela bruin lahayid. Shvua seidas. When a person asks someone to do Eidos for them, and the person says, I don't know Eidos for you, he takes a shvu on it. It's a parsha in the Torah like that. You'll see. It's only talking about people that are fit to give Eidos in another place. What is that coming to exclude? Rav Papa Amar Melech. He says it comes to exclude a Melech. A Melech is not fit to give Eidos. Rav Bar Yaakov Amar Mesachek B'Kubya. He says it comes to exclude a gambler. But real Melech, the Gemara says, I think it's on Hedron, that he's possible for Eidos Midaraisa. Sachet B'Kubya is only Midarabanan. The Raisa is fit to give Eidos. Rabbanan who do Baslu, V'locha Chayla Aleh B'Shvua. And this Shvuas Eidos is not Chal on this Eid, which is Kasher Midarabanan. Kasher Midaraisa, it's only possible Midarabanan. Gemara says, "Shiny Hasim Damakroim Lo Yagid." The high love Baragada Hu Klal. That's different. Shvuas Eidos says in the pasuk, and includes even someone who's possible midrabanan, because he has to be someone who's fit. Lo Yagid, someone who's fit to give Haggadah, fit to give Eidos, someone who's able to speak in court. And since midrabanan is not able to speak in court, Mesacheh B'Kubya. So therefore, that includes. That's why he would be puzzle. The Shvuas Eidos would not be chal on him. But technically, we could answer that by Chatzi Shir. That's a regular derabbanan. That's not included in Lo Yagid. So therefore, maybe since it's only it's Asur Midrabbanan, the Shvua would be chal on Isur Derabbanan. And the Gemara leaves this topic. The Gemara goes back to the drill topic. The Gemara says, "V'chol heicha detani enish karus l'tani aser." The Gemara's original question from the Mishnah, it says, Yoma Kippur Asr ba'achila v'shtiya. We know achila v'shtiya is kares. So why does it say the word asr when it comes to kares? And it says maybe there are cases like that. Even when it's on this kares, it says this, Ratanya, Afa b'shamru asr b'kul, amru enish kares, ela ochel v'shosa osam malacha bavad. We said in Yom Kippur, that it's asr, there are a number of isurim on Yom Kippur. The kares is only for eating and drinking and doing malacha. So you see that it says asr gabe achila. Hachi gamar. So my answer is amru asr lo amru ela b'chatzi shir. When this brisa said asr regarding achila v'shtiya, that was talking about a chatzi shir, which we're going to see according to Rabbi Yochanan is asr midaraisa. Aval kashir enish kares. But if you actually have the shir, that would be the case of where it is kares. When you have the shir of achil and shliv, and even though there's kares, it's only legabe the places achil and shliv and do malacha. Iba yisem, a different answer. Kikasani aser ashara. It says, "Av bishamru aser b'kulon la'amru anish kares alcha v'shosa b'vad." Aser is not going on achila and shliv. It's talking about the other four isurim on Yom Kippur: rachitza, sicha, anilas, sandal, and tashmish hamita. The Tana Rab of Rav Yosef B'Shar Sifrei Debei Rab and Rav Yosef learned in the other academies of Rav, other Svarim in the academies of Rav. Shabboso and Shabbos. It says the word Shabboso and Shabbos and Yom Kippur. So the more it arrives, like Rashi explains, just like on Shabbos, Shabbos comes to include things which are not, we're not in the Mishkan, or we're not in Malacha Gemura. So too, it comes to include other Inuyim, which are, it says V'nisim and Nafshosechem by Yom Kippur, comes to include other Inuyim which are not explicitly stated in the Torah, or similar to Achil and Shdiya, but not completely like it. There's a Machlokes in the Rishonim whether rechitza, sicha, nilas asan, and tashamita, is that asr midaraisa or is that asr midarabanan? I want to say it's totally in these two different answers over here. According to the first answer of the Gemara, he said asr means chatzi shir. So chatzi shir, we know we pass like Rabbi Yochanan and asr min Torah. So therefore, the brayz would have to make sense, and since it's including achila and shtia as part of the other four inuyim, so it would have to make sense. The other four inuyim are asr midaraisa. According to the second explanation of the Gemara, it's ashara that asr is not including achila and shtia. Achila and shtia is kares. Asr is going the other one. So there, it's possible to say that shabbason is just an esmachta ba'alma and it's derabanan, and that's why it would be derabanan. Gufa chatzi shir Rabbi Yochanan are asr min Torah. The concept of chatzi shir Yisurin, Rabbi Yochanan is asr, Yishlagish is mutter. Rabbi Yochanan asr min Torah came in the chazi litzarufe. Even a half a shear, since it's possible you're on your way to getting the full shear, so the Torah, out of necessity that you shouldn't come to the full shear, already asr the half shear. It says you have to eat something. You have to eat something which is substantial. It's not called eating something, it's called ti'ima if you just taste something less than a gazayah. Achila is to eat gazayas. If you didn't have a gazayas, you didn't do anything. Mido rice. Rabbi Yochanan asked a question. I only know things that are usher with a punishment also have a lav. Kvi the chatzi shir hoil ve'eno enosh ba'onesh yachal ena ba'azhara. Kvi, which is an animal, which is a suffix, whether it's a chaya or a behema, a wild animal or a domesticated animal, and a chatzi shir, so they don't have a punishment. You might think they're also not asr min Torah. Talmud Lomar kol chaylev. Says kol chaylev to include a kvi and a chatzi shir, where you're not sure whether it's a behema or a chaya, whether it's chaylev is asr, a chaya is chaylev is mutter, a behema is chaylev is asr. The kvi we're not sure. Chatzi shir and kvi are included from this drasha, so it seems midoraisa chatzi shir is asr min Torah. The Rishon discuss over here. According to Rabbi Yochanan, he gave a svara why it's asr min Torah. Chazi it's tarufe, and now the Gemara is bringing a pasuk kol chaylev. So there's different answers in the Rishonim. The basic answer is that this is the source. Kol chaylev is the source to tell me that there's a svara of chazi it's tarufe. So Reish Lakish would answer this midrabanan v'kras machta ba'alma. This kol chaylev is only derabanan. The kvi and the chatzi shir is also midrabanan. It's the kra is a smachta ba'alma. It's just a support for what the rabbanan decreed. Hachanam mistabra. This makes sense. This hagaday it's only derabanan. This hagaday to raisa kvi sveiko. It's the kra lasui sveiko. We've said before that the svar pshuta, the sveiko the raisa is asr min Torah, and it's 50-50 suffix. So therefore, why would the Torah have to tell you that the kvi is asr min Torah? We already know suffix chai suffix behema 50-50. You go lechumra mido raisa from Asham Toloi. The Gemara says the hollow area. Because of that reasoning, it's not a proof. Kasavri kvi birya b'fnei asma. Kvi is not a suffix chai suffix behema. It's his own animal. There's three types of animals. There's a hema, there's a chai, and there's a kvi. So therefore, it's not a regular case of suffix deraisa lechumra, and that's why it's midaraisa, and it would come to include kvi. Yedilo tema haki had amar Rav Idi barav and af kol asui kvi. It says in Krisos is coming to include the Mishnah. One of the Mishnahs is coming to include kvi. Kvi sveiko is there a kraler? There are buye sveika. The Gemara is adducing proof over there to include kvi and an isur dal raisa. So why do you have to include it? Why do you need a pasuk to include it? Ella birya shiny. How can I be birya shiny? It must be that's a birya. The Torah considers it its own type, unique kind of breed, its own animal, and because of that, the Torah has to include it to give a pasuk to say that it's asr. Because really we'd think it's not a regular case of sveika the rice al chumra, and therefore it's a birya b'fnei atzma. I need a pasuk. So the Gemara is inconclusive to whether Reish Lakish is right or Rabbi Yochanan is right for this Joshua kol chaylev. Tanu Rabbanan. The Gemara continues. Tanu es nafsho seichem. Pasuk says we're going to learn now about the isser of the Tanu and Inuoi in the Torah is a reference to Achila and Shtia. How do you know? Tanu es nafsho seichem yochli yeshe b'chama b'tzina. You might think the kavanah of the Torah is that you should go sit in the sun and make yourself very hot. Oh, go and sit in the cold. Kadei sheitzdar, in order that you should be in pain. Talmud Lomar b'chol malacha lo sasu. It connects It makes a juxtaposition of malacha to inui. Ma malacha sheiv al tasa, just like malacha is to cease and desist, don't do something. Af inui nefesh sheiv al tasa. Nefesh can't be something where you're commanded to get up and put yourself in sar. It has to be refrain from something, and that will put you in sar. Ve'ema dehecha diyaseh b'shimsha v'chayim le lo nemo le kum tuv betula. Yaseh betula v'kar le lo nemo le kum tuv b'shimsha. You might think maybe it's talking about a case where he's in the sun and he's very hot. So basically we'll say, sit down, stay where you are, and don't go to the shade. Or you're sitting in the shade and it's very cold. You might say to him, don't get up and go to the sun to make yourself warmer. So my answer is, do me the malacha. It would come out that sometimes the inoi by the sun and the shade, where it's cold and hot, that's an inoi where sometimes it's b'shev al tasa, and sometimes it would be b'kum ve'aseh. The malacha is always shev al tasa, so you can't compare. You can't say it's talking about an inoi of heat and cold. Tani idach, another proof for this, that it's Tanu as Navshasek was talking about achila of shtia. Tanu as Navshasek, am yochel yeshe b'cham of tzina v'yitztar. Tamalon rechom malacha l'sas. No malacha davar shechayin alav makom acher. Something where we found in the Torah another place that it's asr, like Shabbos. Af inu nefesh shechayin alav makom acher. Inu nefesh has to be something regarding an act which is asr somewhere else. Ve'ez is what are we referring to? Pigul v'nosa, referring to achila. That eating pigul and nosa on Yom Kippur would be a problem. Pigul is meat that was slaughtered with the intention of eating it after its time, the allotted time to eat it. A nosar is meat that you left over. You didn't eat it in its proper time. Avi pigul and nosa shehein bekaris. You might think it's only us to eat pigul and nosa on Yom Kippur. Shehein bekaris. Well, obvious at tevel. And it wouldn't include eating tevel, things you didn't take a choice of meitzos, she'eno bekaris, which is not bekaris. Tamu lomer tanu v'nisim is not v'shasechem riba. It says the word a number of times to include even tevel. Avia tevel shuba misa, it's misa b'dei shemayim v'yu tevel. Lo avias on nevela she'eno misa. Maybe eating nevela on Yom Kippur is not a problem. Tamu lomer tan, meaning as problem of echila on shti on Yom Kippur. Of course, it's also already from the fact that it says in the Torah you can't eat nevela. We're talking about the additional Isra of Yom Kippur, of Ino and Yom Kippur. Tamalom or Tanu v'nisim as how should riba. Again, the Torah says it a number of times, so therefore we include as much as we can. Obvious and Avela shubalav. I'll include Avela, which is an Isra lav. Although obvious a chulin, she'eno and balav. I won't bring chulin, regular, not consecrated meat, regular food. Tamalom or Tanu v'nisim as how should riba. So therefore, any food is included in Ino and Yom Kippur. Below obvious at Truma, maybe there's no isser of eating Truma on Yom Kippur because you're mitzvah to eat Truma. It includes many things. Maybe I'll include Truma where there's no isser of leaving it over. Regular kodshim. There's an isser of leaving it over. If you want to give a different, an additional proof, the pasuk says by Yom Kippur that you're going to destroy the nefesh. What's considered an affliction which destroys a person's nefesh, which ruins a person's life, which weakens a person and makes him closer to dying? It's eating and drinking. You don't even drink, you're closer to dying. Why does the Brisa have to bring an additional proof? Maybe the pasuk when it says about by Yom Kippur is talking about you shouldn't have tashmish amita. It's about arayos. Something which, if you don't do it, will lead you to on your path to death. If you don't do tashmish amita, you're not going to die from that. Another proof that it means achila v'shtia. Just like over there, the ino is referring to famine. Afkan ino rabon. V'neilif me'im tanez benosai. Learned by Lavan when he said to Yaakov, "Don't be ma'anem benosai." And there is talking about Tash Shamita. Dan ino dvar the rabim ino the rabim. Dan ino the rabim ino the yachid. That was talking about a singular case of Yechidim. Inoi, that we're talking about, Rashi says by the man, that was talking about all of Klal Yisrael, so that you learn from that to Yom Kippur. Maybe you learn from Ina Mitzrayim. Hashem saw our Inoi, and what is that? The Gemara says that refers to not being cohabiting, not having Tashramita. El Danin Ina Bidei Shamayim, Ina Bidei Shamayim. Danin Ina Bidei Shamayim, Ina Bidei Adam. You learn Inoi, the definition of Inoi, from something which is a commandment in Hashemayim, and also not only was a commandment in Hashemayim, but also came down in Hashemayim. The man came down in Hashemayim. Inoi by Tash Shamita is something which is done on account of man, not through Hashem, not sending the man. So the Gemara continues to darshan this parsha of the man. Hamachilcha min amidbar l'man anoscha. Rabbi Ami Riyasi Chan Amar ein adom misheish lo pas b'sal misha ein lo pas b'sal. What was the inoi of the man? Inoi of the man was ein adom misheish lo pas b'sal misha ein lo pas b'sal. If you have, I explained, pas b'sal means food that which you regular consume, like bread or something like that. Ein lo pas b'sal, the sweet things. So a diet composed of things which are staple foods is not comparable to a diet which includes foods that you enjoy to eat. That was the inoi. The problem is that the man didn't look like food, or you couldn't see it so well. It looked pretty simple. A part of the enjoyment of eating is seeing food that looks appetizing and it looks like something. It looks different. From here we learn that a blind person, he could eat as much as he wants, he's not going to be full. If he has a suda, he should try to eat it during the day so he can get full from it. Because he could see it during the day. Pasuk in Koheles. Better the sight of eyes than the actual doing of something. It's more attractive in a person's eyes. A woman is more attractive in sight and seeing her than actually being together with her. Shneimar tov mare inayim mahalech nefesh. Ki yitain kos eino yishalach v'meishorim. The Gemara darshan different pasuk in Mishlei. Rebami Urasi Chalamar Kol Hanosin Eino Bikoso. Anyone who places an eye in his cup, meaning Rashi says Oyev Shichras, he loves to drink. Arayas Kulan Doma Lav Kamishor. Then the isurim of arayas all seem to him like it's permissible. Anyone who is into drinking, intoxicating himself with wine. Then basically Rashi says, it seems to him that he can take money from anyone he wants, even illegally. And with that, we'll conclude today's shir. We added a little nafkamina based on Ibayas Emas to describe a machlokas rishonim. Try new stuff. Hope you enjoyed. Like, subscribe, and see you online. Have a good day. Bye.